Hello, I'm Tan the Tan BOTC channel, and yes, this is sadly the only stuff physically, at least from far as what I could find, that I own Resident Evil wise. Quite pathetic. I should get physical copies of the rest of the games. I used to, and I think my brother has them. Like a lot of things he has of mine. When he moved further out. I don't see him really at all. But that doesn't mean we aren't like still friends at all as brother and brother or whatever you call it. But yeah, so there's the frickin' I want to talk about like the Resident Evil. Like I have I have worries for Resident Evil 5 remake. Also, yeah, the I think this is known as like one of the worst versions of Resident Evil 4, so lucky me. Good job, Tam. But also I hate these cases. They so easily get like scratches and crap, which sucks. I kind of like the spooky lighting, by the way. I was going to turn on the light to use a different like lighting, but I decided to just go with this. It doesn't help that there's like Batman and Transformers stuff in the background and that I just blurred my camera. But yeah, I'm worried about the Resident Evil 5 remake. Not only after seeing the thing that Capcom said that the remakes are the improved version, who needs the originals, which feels like it's a way of uh, you might as well just call Stop Killing Games crap. Might as well be frickin' pirate software. But also Resident Evil 5 has kind of that same charm 4 had. And when I saw the 4 remake, while not a bad remake, and I actually plan to replay it again for the channel, the villains suffered greatly in that remake, and it makes me think that the original is superior. I don't even have a bias to the original Resident Evil 4, by the way. I originally did not like Resident Evil 4. I thought it was overrated. I hated it. And I don't know. I just had problems with it. I would have to go back to my past self to see what like my actual thoughts were, but I'm guessing they were childish. So, but I grew to really like and respect Resident Evil 4 over the years, and while it's still not a favorite of mine of the series, I can see why it is for many others. And sadly, I've seen people freaking talk down about it nowadays, just like how I've seen the same thing about Skyrim, and I don't agree in either case. I think Luke Stevens made a good point in his video where he says that you can't judge the game based on like you have to judge the game based on the time period it was made in, and I think they still work in the time periods that they were published in. Hell, the fact that they've held up and people still talk about and love them even today just says so much about them. Same with stuff like Final Fantasy VII, even though 6 is better, clearly, but it was the one that was a big deal. And I think a lot of people around the world, it's kind of like when Dark Souls 3 came out. People didn't really know nor care about Dark Souls until 3 came around. Then everybody pretty much knew what a Souls game was. And it only grew from there with Elden Ring and such, and Sekiro. But getting back on topic, I've because of the cheesy nature of Resident Evil 5, and I like to think of it as like almost an Arnold Schwarzenegger action movie turned into a video game mixed with a little bit of Matrix in there. It's just such an over the top, but in a really good, just freaking funny way. And I love the game. I love Albert Wesker in it. I feel like they're just gonna dumb it down and make the characters way too serious. Why does everything have to be serious or realistic nowadays? It seems to be the focus of a lot of things. And I remember there's a video talking about whenever the Fallout 3 remake, they were talking about why is the game green? And they made some good points that it works towards the tone and the overall like vibe and artistic appeal of what that game was going for. and taking that away like they did with the Oblivion remake, I can see why. Even though I'm not a fan of the Oblivion remake's art style, I can see why people were pissed about it. And it's understandably so. Especially in an age where like AI art is trying to take over and so on and so forth. And by the way, I wanna follow up on that because I don't think it's hard to cover every little detail in a single video, even when I write a script for it. So I want to cover this here. When I talk about the AI art situation from the Asmongold thing, when I mainly say that it's looked at as a negative, most people, and I'm not saying people, even though me preferably, I wouldn't use AI at all or want to, unless it's just for something silly like a meme or something. But even then, I probably wouldn't. But if it's used more as a tool, like for example, fear with the AI, the way the AI is programmed in that game, or even the AI of the xenomorph and something like Alien Isolation. That's not the exact same example, but it's used more as a tool. A lot of people who defend, or at least the ones that stand out, sadly, I'm not saying everyone, or even get kicked out of some art contests, not all of them, sadly. And I do think you should let somebody know that it's AI or that you used AI. So that's definitely a thing. I've actually run across bands that would say that they used AI in like the instrumentals and stuff, but they never said that about like the cover art and stuff. So, but it's obvious that they did. So I think you should specify every part that you used AI in if you're going to be doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, what was the other thing? I just think they're going to cheapen the realism of that. And oh, and following back, I'm sorry. Sorry that this is distracting from Resident Evil 5. I'm not always good with constructing the videos to stay on topic. But yeah, it's just that people, most of the time when I talk about somebody using AI in a negative way, it is mostly because AI is either overused or over relied on, or when there's also times where people use AI as either a metaphorical or even a literal weapon in a way, in a sense. That's when I mostly want to talk about it and what I mostly mean when I talk negatively about it. And sadly, a lot of the time, or at least the times that it stands out most, it is for those very reasons. I've had somebody comment that they use oil painting, some AI to just enhance or help with their oil paintings, but not over rely on it. I don't think that's so much a problem, but in a lot of cases, and once again, ones that stand out sadly, kind of like a bad audience of people, even though there's probably more likely not everybody is bad within an audience or within a fan base or whatever. I try to make that clear, but I can't always remember to say that in all my videos. It's like I have to fricking remember to say that in almost every single freaking video, and it's nearly impossible to remember to say that for everyone. I just hope that people will assume and know not to do that stuff, but maybe I should know better. That's why another reason I think some stuff came across wrong to people in the Asmongold video when I was talking about that. Just note that this here, what I'm talking about right now, would be contributed in that video as well. But once again, I can't remember to say every goddamn little minute detail in something, even when I'm writing down a script or something, which I finally did that with that video. I like to talk from the heart a lot of the times. I don't think of myself very good with scripts. I've tried scripts before. I think my Destiny 2 versus Borderlands, was it Borderlands 2? Yeah, I think it was that. I scripted that video, but I hated it. I hated working on a script for that. I like talking about things from the heart. Even though I Jeff Goldblum things up a lot, I do uhs and stuff. It's kind of naturally what happens to me when I have a bunch of brain farts and have to get back on topic like I need to now. But getting back on topic, I just think it's gonna ruin the villains. I think it's gonna ruin the tone that it set, and that the new tone just won't be something I'm as going to enjoy nearly as much. As well as there is purposes to the way they made the gameplay back in the day. But yeah, it is outdated, and Resident Evil 4 remake was good, and we do kind of prefer being able to walk and shoot. But I think it's the my big reason is the villains. Man, that's a big reason I wasn't a fan of the Resident Evil 3 remake. Resident Evil 3 is the original one, is like my other than the remake of 1, is probably my personal favorite Resident Evil. I love that game. It reminds me of Terminator. You know, freaking you got Jill Valentine. By the way, Jill Valentine was my first video game crush too. Not Laura Croft or Samus, even though they're awesome too. But she was my first personal video game crush. And she reminded me of Sarah Connor versus, you know, like a monsterified Terminator. And I love the freaking stars that I actually want to buy like a Nemesis mask and wear that and make Nemesis a character on the channel someday. That would be funny for like skits and stuff. But if you know a reason I don't have a whole lot of Resident Evil stuff is freaking expensive. Like action figures, Funko Pops, even. They are freaking expensive. But one day, this collection will build from there. Even books wise, I've actually looked at wanting to get there's like, I didn't even know Resident Evil mangas existed, and I want to get those so badly. I found out freaking the equivalent of, they're not manga, I don't think they are, but it's like Japanese, almost manga versions of the Lord of the Rings, and I'm like, holy crap, I want that. That sounds freaking dope. That looks dope. But yeah, I'm just worried about the tone, the villains, and the overall like vibe that it will give me. They'll probably try and make it scarier. There's also other things I'm sure people could bring up that they're worried about, but those are the big ones because Albert Wesker is freaking awesome in that game. I love Albert Wesker in that. And I think Jill Valentine, other than Resident Evil Revelations, hasn't looked hotter. But yeah, freaking awesome game. I do kind of like it over 4 just for its ridiculousness, and it's such a good co-op game. I'm just hoping, what if they get rid of that too? As well as some other things. Who knows what they're gonna do? I just really hope they don't frickin' butcher it. But I'm worried they probably are. We'll have to see how it pads out. And once again, I almost, by the way, I made a video and then immediately took it down because I thought GOG were the ones saying the stupid things about getting rid of the older games or whatever, or not preserving them, whatever the hell was said. But I made a giant mistake there and found out, oh, it's freaking Capcom being the dumbasses and saying that GOG was trying to help. So I want to correct that here. See, I can make mistakes. But yeah, man, I'm sweating. It's hot in here for some reason, even though it's cold outside. I should crack a window. Crack a window, will ya? I'll be violently sucked into space. No, but you all have an awesome day. That's pretty much it. There wasn't too much to talk about with this other than the villains because I hugely saw them suffer. I love how over the top they are in 4. That when I saw what they did to them and how much they dumbed them down, sorry for hitting the camera, it just really hit me in a negative way, and it made me go back to Resident Evil 4, the original, and be like, I prefer this. I know there's some things that are technically better in the remake, and it's not a bad remake. It's probably one of the better remakes, but yeah, I gotta still go with the original. Mostly because those villains were freaking awesome. Also, they made the freaking merchant guy kind of freaking annoying and stop talking in the freaking new version. God, he wouldn't shut the frick up. I love him in the original. I love the, what you buying? What you selling? Thank you. You know, I love that freaking voice. But it only happens after, like, you interact or buy something. It didn't happen every other freaking second. But yeah, that's pretty much all I want to talk about. I hope you enjoyed. Your collection is certainly bigger than mine. I think there are other Resident Evil things I own, but this isn't it. There. Hi, Jimmy's mom. Anyway, that's about it. See ya.